Hey, this week I was thinking about one thing that really meant the world to me early on in my ministry. When I was just a young man, I was asked by one of the great people in our church named Mark Angel to speak on a Wednesday night and to bring a message, to preach my first message. And I was so excited. And I was a little bit nervous, but something happened in that message I never expected to happen. About midway through, I started to sweat. Now, it wasn't hot in the room. The air conditioner was working fine. I wasn't kind of working up, and kind of preaching hard or something. I just started to sweat. And it wasn't just a little bit of sweat. It was like dramatic, like flop sweat, like thick, like unbelievable amount of sweat. Like I've been running 5 or 6 miles kind of sweat, and it would not stop. And I had to get my handkerchief out, and wipe my forehead and everything. And I was like, this is miserable. And by the time I was done, it was kind of on my collar, and I don't know wherever else I was showing. But I walked off that night and thought, this is it. They're never going to ask me to do this again. But a man in the congregation that night, a man named Al Green, a wonderful God-fearing man, came up to me and told me how much he appreciated my message and how he really felt like God had a plan for my life and the ministry. And that little bit of encouragement really went a long way. And not only did I begin preaching again, eventually I was in full-time ministry. Well, last week I talked a little bit about a man who approached a new pastor in his church, the one who's just recently selected, and how he spoke negatively to him and how he felt like he was bringing division and because he didn't really want him to be selected as the pastor. And it was just such a surprising thing from somebody who was supposed to be so spiritually mature. And so what I really want to remind you about is if you are in church somewhere, to encourage the pastor or pastors in your church. Pastoring is not easy. Preaching is not easy. There's a lot that goes along with it, and it's sometimes a very thankless job. Preachers pour themselves out from the pulpit, and sometimes they hit a home run, like a bottom of the ninth grand slam home run, and other times it's just okay, but they have probably poured hours and hours and hours into that message and worked really, really hard to do their very best to bring what they feel like is a positive and direct and maybe life-encouraging and challenging message to the congregation. And it can be thankless. They can leave the message and somebody can pick one thing out of that message they didn't like and they can hammer them at the door or send them an email. They don't even have to speak to them in person anymore. They can fire off an email, or they might even put it on social media that what my pastor said at church this Sunday. And that is difficult for a pastor to deal with. And, especially in small to medium-sized churches, the pastors putting hours and hours and hours into preaching preparation, and then they have weddings and they have funerals and they have elder board meetings they have to go to, and they have counseling appointments that they keep, and they're trying to keep up with their family. There's just so much going on in their lives, and they're trying to manage it all. And without encouragement, it can be really difficult. And the scripture calls us to that. 1 Thessalonians 5:11 says, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Paul admonishes us, and he says this is important. Encouragement is key, that we lift each other up and build each other up. So how can you do that? Well, I can think of 3 or 4 ways, and I'll keep them short, but here's some things I want you to think about. Think about writing your pastor a handwritten note, just something very specific, because he or she, whoever you send that to, will love it because they can sit down at their desk and read it, and they will probably keep it. And if you are very specific in that note about what it is that you see in them, maybe something you see God-fearing that you love in them, or if you see how they did something, how they said something, if you saw them at a distance do something really wonderful, and you point that out, that will mean a lot to them. Here's another thing. If you have the resources and you can afford it, if you put a little gift card in there once in a while for them, especially if it's a young pastor. The youngest pastors in our church, they don't make a lot of money, and sometimes it's pretty tight on the budget. But if you were to give them a little gift card so that they can go out to eat, that pastor and his wife, and they can take a night out, and if they have kids, maybe put a little extra in there to pay for the kids too, and they can take their family out to eat, that would mean a ton to them. Now, it's kind of expensive, so do that just once in a while, but if you have the resources, it's great. Another thing you could do is take it to the next level. You could put that gift card in there and then say, hey, my wife and I would love to watch your kids tonight. Drop them off at 6 on whatever night, Drop your kids off at 6 at our house. You can pick up them around 10. We'll feed them, watch a movie with them, and you all go off, have a great meal, have a great night together. Or just offer to do that without the gift card and let the pastor and his wife decide what they do. They might want to go to the park. They might want to go to a movie. They might want to just stay home and have a break from the kids themselves. That would be huge. Another thing would be if you have the resources and you have something really nice like a cabin or a little condo or something like that, offer that to them, and it will mean a world to them because then they can use that as a free vacation to get away for a little bit. Now, some of those things are not affordable, and I get that, but those are just ideas. Or you could take a meal to their house or offer to bring a home cooked meal over to them on a particular night of the week or whatever. Drop a little gift basket on their desk with a little note telling them how much you appreciate it. All these things mean a lot. We have too many people who are discouraging to pastors. They get behind their keyboard and they fire off an email and let them know what they didn't like, or maybe even get on social media and say, this is what my pastor said this Sunday and I don't agree at all, and pastor doesn't even know it's happened until they hear about it on social media. So let's not be like that. Let's be the encouragers of those who are serving in the ministry. It means a ton. Trust me, it changed my life. I almost did one message and walked away, but thanks to Al Green, I was able to serve for many years. I hope you get this message. I hope it makes a lot of sense to you, and I think it does to me. Keep walking with Jesus. I'll do the same thing. Keep encouraging one another, and I'll see you next week.